Hello, hello. Hey, everyone. I'm not going to really wait around a long time for people to show up. Uh, since people can watch this after the fact, this is basically about just getting some information out there. Uh, and the information is, I know I've made some posts here recently about going to Brown Springs, down just a little southwest of Thackerville in Oklahoma. I myself have never been there, but I've seen a lot of podcasts and a lot of videos about it, and you know, people seem to report a lot of suspected Bigfoot activity and stuff down there. So, I thought I'd give it a shot. But once I started making posts about going down there, uh, I looked at the what's going on down there, and people have been reaching out to me, and it doesn't seem like it's worth the risk. It seems to be an out of the way place where some nefarious activities might go on. Someone just sent me a message, said they were camping down there last month, and there was a whole group of, now I don't know if this is true, but they said some meth heads in around the cemetery, and there were people coming in all night long. I mean, it sounds like nefarious behavior, and people that tend to dabble in the drugs do want to get off the beaten path, to do their business. So, I was just thinking that it just may not work out for me to go down there, because there's going to be some times that I'm going to be alone. And I also would like to be able to leave my camp, if I needed to go do something or go explore another area. So it just doesn't seem reasonable for me to choose Brown Springs. But there is going to be a location that is north of there, that just north of Davis. The last time I was at the Chickasaw Park, I got my oil changed at a car place, and of course I'm talking Bigfoot to the people in the office, and they said that a mechanic that they had there had a sighting. So I talked to him, and he said that he was driving on a road called Sunshine Road, which I believe is a gravel road. And he said that he came up over a rise, and there was one going alongside of a fence. And he said he slowed down and, paced it, and it went down the fence all the way to a wood line, and then turned and looked at his car and then stepped into the woods. The guy certainly seems believable. So I looked up where Sunshine Road is, and it's just north of Davis, Oklahoma. And Davis, Oklahoma is just, I don't know, 30 miles north of Brown Springs. So these are all generally the same areas. And it's not too far from the Chickasaw Park, which is where I had my own encounter back in, 2006. So this area, I have an affinity to this area, and so I had a friend who has a friend reach out to her friend that lives on the Washita River. She has acreage. She's an older woman. She lives alone. I believe she's widowed. So for me to be able to camp there on the Washita River, not too far from Sunshine Road, which this mechanic says he saw one on Sunshine Road. And since it's going to be private property, that fits me to a T, because I'll be able to have my campsite set up, as close as I can get to the wood or to the river in the woods, and be able to leave, since it's a private property, and not have to worry too much about my equipment and my campsite. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also not going to be able to get down there until a couple of days after I initially said I was. So, I get all excited about, especially these long extended trips. And so I started posting when I thought that I would be going down there. But the way I do my work, it's not a schedule. I don't work an hourly rate where I work 9 to 5 and have a schedule. I do construction and I do houses. So there is no exact finish date on some of the projects that I'm on. So as much as I was hoping to get it done at a certain point, I've had a lot of rain, so that has slowed me down. And so it looks like I'm going to be able to leave at the end of next week, or this coming week, which would be Thursday, maybe Friday at the latest. So 15th or 16th. And unfortunately, I had talked to Robert Kreider, since he's going to be at the Kiamichi Museum conference on the 17th. And I thought that I would be back in the Kiamichis on the 17th. So I reached out to him and said, hey, why don't you come down to the campsite that we're going to be at there, and we'll show you around. And, and I thought maybe I could get a little bit of a campfire interview with him. So I was kind of excited about that. But now that's all going to have to be scrapped, because I'm not going to be in the Kiamichis on the 17th. I'm going to be down here on this private property on the Ouachita River. And now I don't have to worry about rushing, or I like to keep the back ends of my time schedules open, because if things are happening, I want to stay. And plus there's other areas that I want to check out down there. If you guys recall, if you want to check out a video that I did with Beth Reeves, who lived in Davis when she was a girl, and she had the sighting out by that church on Guy Sandy Creek. Now, all of this is encapsulated in the same area that I had my encounter, and had gone back many, many times. So when I heard Beth tell her story of going around behind that church and having the one pop up in the grass there, we all went to that spot while she told us her story. And there's a patch of woods about a quarter mile south of that church on Guy Sandy Creek. And I've always believed that they use Guy Sandy Creek as a travel route, and a good patch of woods, 15 acres, 10 acres right on that creek would be a great daytime sleeping spot or bedding area. So we kind of went down in there and checked things around. I think, found some foot impressions, and even found some holes with sticks in them, just like, we had found previously. So David Soliday will be with me, and he was one of the guys who found the sticks with the holes and the impressions. So he actually lives in Sulphur. So I'm excited about that, to reconnect with David. And you could check out the video I did with him where he came and met me at the Area X location, and I interviewed him. He's the one who got hit in the head, hit in between the eyes with a rock at that pond that they were fishing at. When he was arguing with his kids and his wife. So I'm excited to get back down there with Dave. This is his area, but we're going to go back to Guy Sandy and use the drone and get into that patch of woods. We did not go into that patch of woods last time we were there. We just went to that patch of woods, found the impressions going up out of the creek into that patch of woods, and immediately found the holes being dug with the sticks still in the holes. So the ladies that were filming, Cynthia and Blair, who were filming at the time, their batteries all went dead, and they were not really wanting to go in there without being able to film anything. And so the whole thing was aborted. I knew that I would get back down there, and now this is that time. So I'm going to be on this location. David Soliday and I are going to go there. I'd love to spend the night in that patch of woods with all of my audio equipment and, the thermal drone and all that kind of stuff. So it's really one of those things where we held off from going in there and violating the place, especially if there's some young ones and they're using it as a day bedding area. They can go north and south on Guy Sandy Creek out of that chunk of woods, and it's just surrounded by plowed fields. So how often does a person really go in there? Probably not very often at all. So really looking forward to getting in there and seeing what's going on, and, and recording some stuff. So I'm going to film everything, film what's going on. I'm also hoping that there's something going on the Ouachita River. I don't know anybody who's done any kind of research there, but you can see it goes north and south, up towards, Oklahoma City, lots of woods. So, I mean, it's just as viable as any other location down there. So I'm looking forward to that. Then I'm going over to the Kiamichis in that, in that area that, I call area X2O. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to be with Chris Nichols. He's coming in from Kentucky, and I don't know how much time he's going to be able to spend with me there, but I'm committing to at least a week there, maybe longer. But I'm not going to stay on the road. There's the campsite there at that intersection. I'm not going to camp there on that road because I don't want to have my campsite so visible from a road. But there are a couple of secondary trails, 2-trail road type things that turn off into the woods that look like they're never used. Matter of fact, there was a branch and tree laying across one of them that you could easily drag out of the way and then just go up into the woods and create a campsite not visible from the road and without an actual road going by it. So that's the kind of campsite that I want to choose, so that when I leave my campsite, I don't have to worry about someone coming into my campsite, because a lot of times I'm going to be alone, and I want to go out on the electric bike, and I may have to run into town somewhere, to Mena and get, some ice or things like that. But, you have to be able to leave your campsite in relative safety. So I'm going to attempt to move the campsite to a more secluded location in the deeper woods. So I kind of like that idea myself. So I think that's about it. Just know that now I can slow my pace down by the Chickasaw Park and Ouachita River. Going to really get some stuff done there with David Soliday and get over to the Kiamichis. And the last time I was there, I think it was the 5th night. That's when I tried the tent with the Japanese language and stuff like that. And I went out a lot at night. There were some incidental things that maybe happened, but the biggest night was on the 5th night when I had almost everything packed up. And I was sleeping with earplugs because I was going to leave first thing the next morning, so I couldn't stay up all night and then be ready to go first thing in the morning. So I prepared to take off first thing in the morning by having everything packed up except the tent I was sleeping in, and I left a recorder out, and that seemed to be the most exciting activity-filled night of my whole time there, with branches breaking, you could hear branches break and being thrown and rocks thrown and all kinds of stuff. And even those vocals and stuff like that, all of that happened on the 5th night. So it's one of those things where I guess you have to be prepared every night. And I mean, even if you're planning on leaving the next day, maybe I shouldn't plan to leave till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. If, I really am. I'm going to stay for a long time this time. I'm going to stay for longer than a week, in the hopes that I can have another night like that and try to be more prepared for it. I'm going to do some game camera situations where I, watch the backs of the vehicle with the game camera and, things like that. So there's some things that I'm going to try, and go out with my thermal camera, electric bike at night. I'd like to get down to, Beech Creek, pretty steep incline going down there, and just beyond Beech Creek would be Cucumber Creek. So I am definitely going to try that, and I'm going to film everything. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Hey, Jason, you're not calling from out in the field, are you? I thought you were going to go spend an all-nighter out in the field, man. Uh-oh, message retracted. All right, well, I think that's about it. I know this is only about 15 minutes long. Just wanted to give everybody an update and I'm going to get things going. Oh, and I am going to finish out in Arkansas. I'm going to finish out in Arkansas. There's a gentleman. I'm not going to be going to that guy named Dale. I'm sure you guys have watched the videos. I won't be going to Dale's place, but there is another guy 1 county over who has invited me to his place, and he's got a steep holler down behind his place, and he says there's activity there. He's had other researchers there that have found, you know, footprints and things, and so I believe that's where I'm going to go ahead and just finish out my trip. And I'll be probably at the 3-week mark at that point. So at some point, I'm going to be needing a shower, or maybe I'll have to bathe in the creek. I don't know, but Justin, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've got the guy's address. I can't even say for sure. I only know where Dale's place was, and the other guy's is 1 county north of there. So, well, it's going to be about an hour north of Little Rock, up, you know, as you get towards Mountain Home and, you know, the White River as you're heading up that way. So, yeah, so it's pretty rough areas. So, I mean, I've gone to the White River several times out of Little Rock, and, you know, it doesn't take long. A lot of podunk towns, you know, with lots of hollers and ridges, you know, and 2-lane roads, you know, going through the counties up in there. So it's pretty woodsy. So I am looking forward to that. I hope there's some activity there. So I just enjoy these kind of trips. I wish I could afford to do them more often, where it really allows me to relax and go in and let my equipment do the work. And hopefully I can be in for the long haul. Some places, you know, it takes several days. Even if you're out, you know, gallivanting around in the middle of the night. I mean, all you can do is hope that they take notice and, you know, try to figure out what your game plan is, and, you know, maybe follow you back to camp. And that's generally when you get something exciting happening. I have yet to walk up on one by being out at 2 a.m. You know, they steer clear of you. So, hey, Texarkana. Yeah. I've been down there a few times. Well, it's been a while. I think the last time I was down there, I was able to meet up with the Falcon Monster, the guy, the old guy. I can't even remember his name, but I know he's passed away a long time ago. So stopped in at his shop and bought his book. So yeah, no, down there by Falk, Texarkana and Falk, lots of reported stuff down there. So, but anyways, and I appreciate you guys stopping on here. You know, I really didn't expect a whole lot to come on here. This is basically, since I'm working so hard trying to get this job done, I don't have a whole lot of time to be getting on and doing stuff. So I just wanted to give this as an update, because there's people that are expecting me to go down and put a good showing in at Brown Springs, and now that's going to be off the table. So, you know, I explained why at the beginning of this. So yeah, but I think you guys are going to like the area when I film it that I'm going to by the Ouachita River. It really, I mean, that's the area, you know, where I had my encounter 20 years ago, you know, within several miles. So these things are there. And if that mechanic was telling me the truth about seeing one running along the fence line on Sunshine Road, I'm going to be probably camping within 2 miles of Sunshine Road in a big patch of wood that runs alongside the river. So if they're there and that guy's telling me the truth, then they're going to be using those woods along that river. And I'm not sure anyone's ever really camped on this private property. Like I said, it's an older woman, widowed. Her farm is untouched, hasn't been farmed in years and years. And I'm going to have to worm my way back into those woods and see what's going on. But if these critters are traveling up and down that river, they're not going to be used to seeing a campsite in there. So I would expect to get visited. Well, hell, I wouldn't do this if I didn't expect to get visited. So anyways, that's what it's all about. I'm going to just record everything that I can and hopefully get something. I'm going to take me some hydrocal. Hope I get me a footprint, but yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you guys. I mean, thanks so much. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off so that other people can just, re-listen to this and get everything that they need out of this. Thank you, people.